love these higher rates. This is just what we...
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of StephSellsHomes podcast. This podcast is brought to you by ADU Insider. ADU Insider is a network of real estate professionals and ADU-centric professionals in the space who you can connect with and tap into. And it's also sponsored by 10K Cards, which is a digital platform. It's a digital card, basically, that you can share with anyone. I have it saved as my screensaver, and that's what I share with everybody so you guys can stay updated. Today, we have somebody who's very special, a good friend of mine. In my humble opinion, one of the dopest and realest and most transparent top producing team leaders here in the LA area. His name is Kyle Draper. I'm gonna invite him onto the show. This is episode 21. We're gonna be talking about all things team leadership, team dopeness, and everything in between. So welcome, Kyle.
Let's go.
How are you?
Let's go. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. It is truly an honor. So thank you, Steph.
Thank you. So for those of you guys who don't know Kyle, I'm sure a lot of you guys know because most of my audience follows people who I'm also in alignment with. This guy is honestly, he leads by example, which is why I was so grateful to have him here on the show. And I got to see him and spend time with him recently at an event, my first ADU meetup, which was super dope. He brought a lot of value information. So we said, you know what, let's do a podcast together and really show people what Kyle's all about. So can you give people some context? Who's Kyle Draper? Give us a little backstory of who you are and you know, what is it that you do in the real estate space for those of you guys who don't know you?
Absolutely. So like you said, my name is Kyle Draper and I run the Serene team at Ambiance Realty. I also have ownership of the brokerage Ambiance Realty, something I'm really, really proud of. As of now, I'm the only non-founder that has equity. So I definitely take that with a lot of pride. And I'm in year 10 of my real estate career. And I kind of backed my way into it when I was in my early 20s because in my 20s, I also ran a record label and had a recording studio. And when I sat my parents down at the dinner table to tell them that I was going to take that path in music rather than go to law school, which was the path that I was on, my mom was a realtor at the time. And she was like, hey, why don't you just get your license and I'll throw you on a couple deals so you can make a little bit of money while you figure out how you're going to make money in music. And fast forward a decade later, I never figured out how to make money in music. I would basically in my 20s, I would sell real estate as a solo agent and then use the commission money to fund, music videos, tour budgets, all this stuff that unfortunately we just didn't get that return on. So when I turned 30, I was like, okay, it's time to just really focus on real estate. I want to build my team. And so right around COVID is where I started actually building the team. And we started with 2 other agents and an admin. And now we're at 7 agents and I think 5 total support. And we're really looking to grow kind of quickly. I'm changing the model around a little bit where I'm pulling myself out of production a bit so that I can really manage a team, really grow. Because if I'm hands-on every deal the way I've kind of been historically, you kind of reach a plateau. And so now we're at that point where it's how do I support my agents? How do I cultivate growth? How do I train? All that good stuff, which is a really exciting kind of new era for the team.
I love it. I love that. And so can you unpack a little bit more of how are you going to pull yourself out of production? What does that model, that team model look like? Is it more of a hybrid type of model? How do you think you're taking yourself out of production but still because I know that you guys have such a dope, I know Vanessa personally who's part of his team. She's a good friend of mine. And so I see the culture and how tight the team is, and everybody just holds each other accountable. So how do you create that culture, cultivate it, maintain it, while still working on the business, not so much in the business, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's really the art of it. It comes down to systems. Like everything that you do needs to get out of your brain and be systematized. So the client experience, how you run comparable sales, how you structure your offers, like all that stuff needs to be scalable. And so you really need proper systems to like teach your people how to do it so that you're less involved in the process, really. Like, and it's hard for team leaders, especially people that have spent their whole careers as a solo agent before. There's this control element that you just have to be understand that you have to be at peace with releasing some of that control, but you still can control it if your systems, your training, and all that are in place. And so historically, I was only looking to hire pretty seasoned agents because since I was working so much in the deals, I couldn't bring on a brand new agent because I didn't have time to train. So, yeah, the first two people that I brought on were Vanessa and Howard, both of which, when we were at a Keller Williams office back in the day, they were my mentees. So I kind of had already gotten to teach them my ways early on, and then we kind of separated paths professionally. And then when I was starting my team, I was like, those are the two people that I want to start it with. And it's just been amazing to see. Like, they've both grown tremendously. Their income has just pretty much erupted since joining the team, which is a really cool feeling to have that impact on people that I really care about and kind of see their lives transform. And so now, as I pull away from like kind of partnering with them on every deal, I'm more now like a resource and somebody to step in when is necessary, but they can take deals from start to finish. Like they don't need me whatsoever. So then the question becomes, well, why are they still on the team? Like, why wouldn't they just go off on their own? And there's a true belief that we all share that we all can grow to higher highs together than if we do this separately. So now my role is to basically build teams within my team where, I'm going to be now able to recruit newer agents, and then I train the newer agents and plug them into kind of like a mentorship team model where like Howard will have his team, Vanessa will have his team or her team, Pilar on our team, she's going to be building that out as well. And they're all at that point where like, they're all clearing over 250,000 like on their own in GCI. And so like they're at that point where they can do it. And again, I've never been able to kind of have a structure that was other than like I'm at the top and then I put all these just people below me that I partner with. That was the old model. Now it's like I can build these teams under, and like Howard, Vanessa, and Pilar are kind of the new Kyles that are super hands-on the deals, very client-facing, answering all the questions. And so now I can spend time recruiting, building our systems out better, and really training. So it's a very exciting time.
Wow, you mentioned a lot right there, but a lot of key points. Number one is having those SOPs in place, right? System operating procedures, tracking those KPIs, and obviously hiring sharks is what it sounds like, right? Because Howard, I don't know him personally, but I know he's fucking killing it. Vanessa, no doubt, right? And then now she also brought her husband along. So it's really pouring into the right people who are in alignment with your core values and what it is that you stand for. I think for me, I'm not at your level yet. I've got 3 girls on my team, and you met Maria, Rosie, and Steph. Yeah. And Rosie and Steph are newer agents, but Maria is more of a seasoned agent, and she has really helped me step up my game as far as team leadership goes and delegating so many tasks to her. And then she'll take on her time, time of her day, because if you're pouring into people, the beautiful thing about that is they're going to want to pour into others, right? So I poured in a lot of time and energy into her and showing her my systems and processes, and she'll take time out of her day to explain it to Rosie or explain it to Steph, right? And so that's how we've created that culture where, Maria can probably go off on her own and do this on her own, but can we do more, together? And the answer is yes. you can't do this all alone. I'm also a single parent, so I need the leverage, you know, and it took me a minute
Yeah.
to understand that, because we never want to give up that it's hard to delegate when you don't have it documented. So some of the things that I do is like, I'll just go on Zoom and I record the entire call, and you can throw it up on Fiverr and have it transcribed. Now you create a document, standard operating procedure of what it is, you know, that you do when a lead comes in, when a lead closes, the pre, during, and after process, right? So I love that you guys do that. Now, what systems are you guys using right now to help you guys elevate your game as far as automation goes and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we actually are changing a lot of our systems up right now. So we just switched our CRM. We're now with Follow Up Boss, which, especially for what we do, we're a pretty heavy like online lead driven team, and so we use a marketing company called Ylopo. They run our website that has great search capabilities, and we run Google pay per click through them, Facebook ads through them. And so we can get a lot of like lower cost leads. Before, we were spending almost 10 grand a month on Zillow leads. And that was working for us during the like quarantine where open houses weren't a thing, because like for millennials to see properties, we were the bottleneck basically. Like they couldn't just go to the open house. They had to call us for a private tour. And so we were crushing it. And then as the world opened up a bit more, we still had a positive return on our Zillow, but it was like declining. And I was like, damn, this is really an expensive way to like scale a team. It's just too much, because we weren't at Zillow Flex. Like the team wasn't big enough, so we were just spending money in their Premier Agent program, and we're completely off that now. We get a lot more lower cost leads that our system with between the Follow Up Boss CRM and the Ylopo technology with like the remarketing, and there's like AI texting and all that, we have a tremendous amount of leads that we really wait and follow up with the people that are giving us behavioral indicators that they're worth following up with. So our campaign looks like a new lead comes in, we blitz them for 10 days, because there is a lot of low-hanging fruit where like people are fairly close to transacting. You know, you definitely want to do that blitz. But if we don't get a hold of them in 10 days, where we're hitting them up at least once a day for 10 days, then we kind of step back. And historically, stepping back would mean like, oh, you're giving up, you're losing these people. But we just have really good technology now where we know that those people are going to be remarketed to on social media. They're going to continue seeing our ads. They're going to continue to be invited to search for homes on our website. And so then, you know, this is not an uncommon thing where a lead will be in our system for like 1, 2, 3 years, and then we get a notification that this person, for the first time in a couple of years, is back on our site looking at homes. So if we have a database of thousands of leads, but our technology is telling us that the 20, 30, 40 people a day that are hand raising and basically saying like, hey, I'm worth one of your agents like calling and doing this with, that's who we're focusing on now. Rather, historically, we weren't doing that, and we've just had these super aggressive follow-up campaigns, because I always would pride myself in not letting things fall through the cracks. But doing that meant I was wasting a lot of my agents' time and chasing people who were not giving us behavioral indicators that they're worth our time, quite frankly, to chase them. So it's been a big switch for us, and it's something that we're already seeing it working, and it's a much more scalable model. And we're pretty excited with this big switch that we're now like a month and a half underway with.
Wow, that's awesome. I saw you were at the Ylopo Summit, right, in Vegas not that long ago, and they're great. They're awesome. Everything that they do as far as tracking and automation and integrating that with Follow Up Boss. I've used Follow Up Boss. Right now I'm using KV Core, which is not bad. You know, it still has the functionality, and a CRM can only work. I used to build out marketing campaigns and CRMs for realtors when I was an assistant for them. Yeah. And it's funny when realtors come to me, and I'm sure as a team leader you see this a lot. People think that joining a certain team or using the latest fucking CRM tech, you know, that's out there, and spending $500, $600, $1,000 a month is gonna do it for you. Nobody knows how to run your business but you.
Right.
right? And you can
Exactly
have the
right.
dopest decked out CRM, but if you don't know how to integrate it and how to use it and have a purpose behind it, then it's useless, right? You can spend a lot of money on these CRMs and AI technology, but if you're not being strategic and intentional with it, you can be spinning your wheels and spending a lot of money. Same thing with the Zillow
Totally.
leads. I did
Yeah.
that as well, and $3,000 a month, that's insane. You know, when for me it's more referral based, but I've worked the online and the iBuyers as well, which
Hmm.
is dope. But what you guys are doing as far as tracking behavior, using that AI technology and leveraging that right there alone, that piece alone, is worth being on a team like Kyle's, to be honest, because there's no way that Vanessa and Howard and all these other teams that you're going to create under Ambiance Realty can scale without these tools. But being intentional and strategic with these tools, right? So that's already a foundation that you're laying out. And I think as a team leader, I respect the fact that you always focus on those small details. Like, how can we let Vanessa and Howard do their thing and go out there and build the business, but you're out there like really tweaking certain things of the business to just make it a more streamlined process for everybody, right? The end consumer
Exactly.
and also the team leaders of the team.
Exactly, and that was a kind of funk I got into until fairly recently, was understanding that like the best technology from 2020 or 2019 is probably not the best technology in 2022. The campaigns, everything is different. So I kind of got out of like this habit of constantly seeking new information, going to all the conferences, and now I'm like back in it, and my spirit is just so energized and charged up. And it's like, yeah, there's constantly ways to innovate, and like anything that I can do to streamline the processes for my agents, I need to be doing that. And then another really important thing, regardless of whether you're a team leader or a solo agent, is you need to take time where you're operating like above your business and you're actually like studying what has happened. And I would recommend doing this quarterly rather than just annually. But like last year, I was looking at our team's production, and I was actually surprised with the ratio of like Sphere Pass clients compared to online leads. We were at 16% online leads, yet we were running campaigns, like I was saying, where we were wasting a lot of time. We were doing a tremendous amount of our lead gen and follow up was spent chasing like shitty online leads, and we were neglecting our past clients in Sphere that were really like very very responsible for the majority of our business. And so we switched that up as well. We do like past client appreciation events a lot more frequently now. We offer to host like housewarming parties for our newly closed clients and stuff. So we're putting a lot of more effort and intentionality into like how do we stay in front of our past clients, our Sphere, because yeah, you don't want to neglect that side of the business too. And the metaphor that my coach gave me for that was like, if you ever like see somebody who like is shaking an apple tree, like if you shake that tree, oh my goodness, it just floods. And we were kind of just letting like the apples slowly one by one from our Sphere and past clients just drop into our lap, and we were doing a lot of good business with them, but there's a lot more intentionality in shaking that tree to really service as much as we can of it.
100%. I mean, there's no way that you can service that many if you're not being intentional with it. So there's so much money in the referral game, but we sometimes just get in our heads, right, of tapping into the people that already chose to work with us in the past. They know, like, and trust us. So they become
Yep.
walking billboards of your business, right? And if we tap
Totally.
into that source, then you don't really have to spend that much money on ads. I agree with you. I think that the marketing campaigns are also changing. You have to make it more customized for the client and just really make it seem like it's tailored for them, and,
Yeah.
and you do that through these systems and processes so that everybody gets the same experience every single fucking time. You don't think about it twice. And I tell my girls, like, whether it's your cousin or a Zillow lead, everybody's getting the same treatment, right? And the same
Yep.
experience. So we want everybody to walk away with that same mindset, and we're advisors too. We're not just order takers. So I tell people, really understand people's wants and needs and people tell you their motivation and their conversations, right? And they tell you why they're making certain moves, whether that's buying, selling, or investing, which takes me to the next topic, ADUs. You know, I'm a heavy
Love them.
ADU realtor, and I don't
Hell
think
yeah.
there's anybody doing what I do. So I find myself, like what you were saying, focusing on the business because I'm coming up with a concept that I don't have to refer, I don't have anything to refer to, right? Nobody else is doing what I'm doing. So I'm trying to find my way in the ADU space and become the ADU realtor or advisor. And I've got to create marketing campaigns for that. Like, you're not going to find a marketing campaign for ADUs on Follow Up Boss or KV Core. You've got to
Right.
customize these campaigns. And so I'm working on all of that. But I see the power of ADUs, and I think it's a hedge against inflation. I think that it's a great, strategy for even first-time home buyers. And if you want to take it on a higher level, you can work with developers and multifamily investors. The list goes on, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get your take because everybody who comes on the show, I want people to hear their advice, their opinion. What's your take on ADUs, and what do you think about it? About the
Oh man, I
strategy?
mean, I think they're just tremendous, absolutely tremendous, and it's what we need. Like, we have to live denser, and that's why there's all this legislation that is promoting that. Whether it be the ADU laws, SB9, small lot subdivision laws, like we've had a trend of people understanding, like, holy shit, like we have a population problem. These major cities, especially in Los Angeles, like we just need to live denser. So it's tremendous, and I think as a home buyer, you really should be prioritizing like larger lots over smaller lots, because that's a big factor in terms of like what you're able to do on your lot with, like, whether you can have an ADU and a junior ADU or how big your ADU can be. So like ADU specific considerations people should be really taking into account, because especially as time moves forward, it's just it's only gonna get bigger and bigger, as a trend, as a way to leverage your property to, one, add value, number two, add that cash flow. And for any realtors watching this, like, you're leaving money on the table if you're not like at least using terms like ADU potential in your marketing, because there's very few properties that don't have ADU potential. So even if it's not already built, just understand that there are a lot of buyers and a lot of realtors that may be searching for like the word specifically ADU. So you've got your like bigger lot with space to build it, that has ADU potential. You've got your like 2-car garage, that's ADU potential. So I think you're leaving money on the table, and you're not exposing your property to as many people as you should be if you're not like going out of your way to use those terms.
100%. I use it every single time, every listing, every buyer side representation. It doesn't matter. ADU potential should be on everybody's radar, at least marketing piece, right? Because you bring awareness to, like I said, the average consumer who's thinking of buying their first single family home. And, with rates creeping up right now, the average payment for a $700,000 home here is going to be $3,400, $3,600. So a lot of people are getting priced out of the market. How can they even tap into today's market? And that's how I start a conversation, is saying, hey, you guys can invest with the idea of building, right? Converting later, or buying with the conversion already in place, and then walking them through that process from development to permitting to design, inspections, financing, construction. And nobody's talking about it. Like, there should be more realtors taking some sort of course, because nobody's going to teach you this shit either. So you got to go out there and understand the process and streamline it for the buyer. Now, if I can help a buyer comprehend that, then they're all in. Now they're like, fuck, let's look for a house at $800,000 with the ADU potential, because that'll still help offset my mortgage while being able to tap into the market. And, obviously, equity, equity, and you can refi after the build out and get that going. But people don't know what they don't know. So that's why I'm super loud about it, and I love that we share that in common, because we can both make a lot of noise and bring the strategy to even our team players. I know that you talked to the team, Vanessa and Howard. I've talked to Vanessa about it too. So it's a great strategy. I love it. One of the things that that I know we've been struggling with and that you talked about at the event, if you can just touch on that, is
Yeah.
comping ADUs. So many people hit me up on the DMs, hey, how can I comp out this ADU? I got a neighbor who's thinking of building an ADU, but we don't, in some areas we don't even have enough ADUs to comp out. So how do
Right.
you comp out these ADUs?
Well, yeah, that's really the hard part right now. There's not a like great, recipe for it. At the end of the day, the most accurate way is to find a similar home to yours, where like the main house is very similar to your main house, and then they already have their ADU, and they've sold that property. If you can find that, that's a slam dunk comp, basically. But oftentimes that's tricky to find, so maybe the best thing that you'll find is a similar property where they like illegally converted their garage. In which case, if you are going to properly permit your ADU, you need to understand that like that comp with the illegal ADU is really the like absolute floor of your price, because if they did it and it's unpermitted, that still adds utility to them. So it is giving them value, but should it give as much value as if it were like fully permitted? No. So that's where you're gonna be like a bit above them. How much above? That's where it's like super subjective. And obviously, like the more kind of data you can find, the better. But that's really the way to do it, because at least in Los Angeles, you can't really bank on just multiplying the price per square foot by your new area. And there's a few reasons for that. The first is really that, like, let's say you're doing a 2-car garage, that's probably 400 square feet. If your main house is like 800 to 1,000 square feet, you're basically adding like almost 50% of the size to your property. And that's just kind of like appraisal 101 is like, as your price per square foot, or sorry, as your square footage gets way higher, your price per square foot will lower. So, I really encourage people to think of it as like, appraisers are still sorting it all out in terms of like what is the immediate value add, but like you're gonna be getting cash flow from it if that's what you choose to do. Other people do ADUs because they want their office. I think at your thing, I said like they're a satanic 16-year-old. They want the hell out of the house.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, where people are thinking of it as like, let's get help with the mortgage, let's get that cash flow. So that you're going to have that, because depending on your neighborhood, you'll work with your realtor. You'll know like, okay, my 1-bed 1-bath ADU, maybe I can get 1,800 for it, 2,400 for it, depending on your area and all that. So think of it that way, and then when you sell it down the road, like you absolutely are adding value. Now, I think the people that are in somewhat scary territory with this are some of the like flippers who are counting on their refi after they do their ADU. Like they want it back, and some appraisers will give it and others won't. So if you're doing like a BRRRR model that is like very specific to like getting your refi value on your ADU, that's where you just have to be careful. You might get it, but you also might not. So you really need to have strategies in place to protect against it. And there was actually an investor at your event that I talked to after that was in this exact position, and his build was in Carson, where your price per square foot in Carson is going to be less than like a prime kind of like LA City, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills kind of area. And my advice to him actually was to make his ADU smaller, because he was going basically full max size and everything. It was going to be this big thing. And I was like, dude, you think of it this way, like your construction price per square foot is high no matter where you are in the city. Like, yeah, a contractor will charge you a bit more in Beverly Hills than in Carson, but like we're talking just labor and materials. And so you're going to pay a lot for this like big ADU in Carson, and the additional value to it won't be quite as high as if it were in like West Hollywood, for example, where just the land that you're sitting on is worth so much more. So yeah, you have your construction costs for the ADU, but that will be worth a lot more based on the more expensive land than if you were in Carson. So for him, I was like, dude, I think you're absolutely on the right track. I would just maybe lower your overhead a little bit with your build, and just do like a one bedroom one. And still, you're still probably like crossing your fingers for the refi and the appraisal. So in terms of short term, like flipping with it, It's very doable. I think a lot of people are successful with it, but it's hard to like lean on that as a model, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Two things that you said there. So if you're going to do the BRRRR model, I would be conservative, and if you're doing the BRRRR plus ADU model, I would run the numbers just based on the BRRRR.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And not rely on the ADU, because like you said, you have to, you don't know if that value will come back. And then don't overbuild in certain neighborhoods. I had a client who was looking to build like an 800 square foot ADU in North Long Beach. And I told him the same thing you just said. I said, dude, don't go all out, and build a 1,200 square foot ADU back here and expect to get an appraiser to come back out here in a couple months, after the build out, and give you $300K in value, which is what you're going to spend roughly on building that out, right?
Right.
Because you're probably not going to get that. In certain neighborhoods, you're kind of capped out as to how much value can be given.
Totally.
So that's a great point. Like, people should be looking at that, is, focusing on the neighborhood. If you go to Houseable.com, you can get an idea of what other people are paying for as far as their ADU projects go. Houseable has projects all throughout California. So when you go to their website, you type in your address, it'll give you the ADU potential of what you can and can't do. It'll point out any flood zones, coastal areas, things like that. But most importantly, it shows you a map of every single person who's built an ADU with Houseable, and it shows you how much they've spent.
Yeah, oh my God. You just rocked my world. That is awesome.
Yeah,
I had no clue that existed, and I will definitely be using that. Please do. I mean, I'm going to remember it, but please still send it. Like, that is.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's on the link in my bio too on my Instagram. But I tell clients when they want to ask me, like, well, how much do you think I'll spend? What is the time frame? Well, look at what other people are paying for in your certain neighborhood, and once we have enough comparables, then we can start talking numbers and not be as speculative with it. But for now, run your numbers very conservatively, and don't rely on it. Rely on the cash flow, but don't rely on that value to come back, 100%.
Exactly. And I think that's something that it's going to get better and better as we move forward. Like, I think there will be a more uniformed approach that appraisers can take. I mean, I don't understand why there's not just a, like, let's say the price per square foot for the neighborhood's like $700 a square foot. How come there's not a model where if you're doing an ADU, you do like 80% of that $700 a square foot? Like, I don't know why we can't come up with something like that, because it kind of makes sense if you think about it that way. But we're not quite there yet. But I know that we'll get there, exactly. And like I said at your event, like Fannie and Freddie are now, if a property already has an ADU, they're going to let the income that you're going to get from that ADU, they're going to let that kind of beef up your pre-approval amount, just the same way that it does with like duplexes and triplexes, because the more units you have, the more income you'll have on top of your vocational income. So that, until very recently, didn't exist with Fannie and Freddie. So that alone is just a trend that, like, okay, these are super legit. These are products that are not like just like LA specific or California specific. There are versions of ADUs that exist in all of America now. So like on a national lending scale, we can start to like look at it that way, which is super cool. And it's just a sign of the trend that we're on.
I believe it's going to become nationwide. I heard about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac updates as regarding to income and the other program. I forgot the name of it, but there's going to be an ADU loan product that'll come up. Because what they talked about was, here in California, between 2018 and 2020, there have been over 23,000 ADUs built. Now, in certain neighborhoods and certain areas, some ADUs are more popular than others. Like out in Portland, Oregon, they're doing heavy basement conversions. Here in LA, I want to say 70% of them are garage conversions, right?
Yeah.
And a lot for like the elderly, or like, would you say the punk rock son or daughter?
Oh, the satanic 16-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. So that's mainly the reason, and obviously cash flow and passive income are the other top two. But yeah, understanding that this is going to become nationwide. I want to start building a network of other real estate professionals, because I think if we do it at scale, in certain areas and just all across the nation, that's how you start getting people to be heard, right? And you start actually connecting with the Fannie Mae's and Freddie Mac's of the world who we need to talk to. Like, just who do I need to talk to so we can make some changes in this appraisal world, the financial world, when it comes to ADUs, you know? So we'll get there. But yeah, I'm so glad that you brought this up. So before I let you go, I got just a few more questions. The main one, because I had a lot of people hit me up, they want to know if you're hiring, you know, I know you talked about building sharks and building other teams within your team. So what is your guys' goals, and how can people connect with you guys if they were considering, you know, joining a badass team this 2022, and they have what it takes, obviously, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm so glad you asked that, and the answer is yes, we are hiring, and I'm so glad to say that because I've been saying no for so long, but again, now I see the model, I see the vision, I see my role and how I can do that. So
shit, I think I might just join too.
I'm gonna recruit you. I'm bringing your whole team with me.
I'm down. We'll play the Spanish division, Riverside, you know, Long Beach division, and let's do it.
I love it. I mean, you think I'm joking. I'm not joking, Steph.
No, I'm not joking. You know, I'm a massive action taker. You don't gotta tell me twice. But I would love to just imagine being in a culture like that, guys. I mean, he's laid out the fundamentals of how he runs his business, so it's open game. I mean, if you guys really want to level up in this type of market, I would highly, highly advise you guys to reach out to Kyle. But if they wanted to, where can they reach out to you? Do you have somebody that takes care of that, or do they DM you, or how do they connect?
Yeah, you can definitely DM me. My handle is the Kyle Draper. Instagram's probably my main one. You can email me, Kyle@sereneteam.com. That works too. Okay. But yeah, I'm very, very open to having these conversations these days. Especially
we're gonna have them more often, and we're gonna have one offline for sure. Because we're gonna continue to work together and just do a lot of dope shit, because that's what it's all about. I'm all about making meaningful connections and intentional ones and strategic alliances that align with what I do. Because what we do on a day-to-day basis it's simple, but it's not easy for most people. But I think that connecting with the right people will get us there faster. And it just creates this dope-ass energy where there's good synergy. And that's how you can perform at your best. You know, if I'm around shitty-ass people, I cannot be the best mother, realtor, team leader, whatever it is. You know, all these hats that we wear. So,
Amen.
Yeah, cool. Well, 2 last questions that people want to know is what's your favorite dish and favorite travel to spot?
Oh man, so there's a place by where I'm living right now that is called Madre, and they have this 4 different type of mole enchilada where like there's 4 little enchiladas and they all have different mole on it. Woo!
Ooh, that sounds.
I'm literally I literally am salivating as I say that. So that'd be my favorite dish. What was the next question?
Travel.
I am such a sucker for the vacation where you're like sipping on some like fruity drink with a little umbrella on it, like that. The ability to detach in that kind of an atmosphere is so like spiritually healing and regenerating. And now that I have a team, it's amazing because like I can actually go on a vacation. So like I can actually like unplug, and I know that, you know, my teammates are going to be picking up my slack when members of my team go on vacations. Like we all, including myself, pick up their slack. Yeah, because it's like, dude, that is just so crucial to be able to have that time. Like when I was a solo agent, I would wake up earlier than everybody else to like answer the emails. I'd be like trying to have a good time, but I'd be stepping out and negotiating deals and all that stuff. And I mean, it was doable, but it's not like something that I want to do, especially like as I like continue through life. Like I could do that when I was like in my 20s and whatnot, but
you're so like it's doable, but you would have no life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally doable, but you'll have zero life, zero social life. So yeah, that's just another great way to leverage the team and help one another. You know, I know Vanessa's gonna need your help too now that she has the baby coming along.
She's got it coming. I got her. I got her. Yeah.
We gotta go to Puerto Rico if you like to really zen the fuck out. And
I am so down. I've never been. I am so
what?
down.
Oh my God. The energy there is incredible. You're not going to want to come back. And let me tell you, my 5-year plan is to retire in Puerto Rico, 98% of the island. And I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Mexican. But I went out there, it took a solo trip. I think it was back in 2018. And I started connecting with some of the locals there. And I go about twice a year. But I started doing more research, and 98% of the island is considered opportunity zone. So if you know about opportunity zone, and I said 98% of the island. Whoa. So that to me was like, damn. You know, I love Mexico, but Mexico's Mexico, and I'm from Mexico, and you can't really mess with Mexico unless you got connections. At least PR is part of the U.S. 98% of the island is opportunity zone. So if you know you're looking to buy and hold for 10 years, get some 20 Airbnbs out there in San Juan. Yeah. Let's go. Like that's the goal for me, you know? And live out there. You can there's actually tax benefits if you live out there 83 days out of the year. You don't got to pay taxes. Settle.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Well, and you can also, since you're a real estate professional, like all of your stuff there, like acquiring property, like everything is like
everything.
I'm not a CPA.
Yeah.
Know, I think that there could be a lot of ways to 100%. A lot of write-offs with this approach.
A lot of write-offs. So I'm giving you ideas, just throwing that out there.
You
but
sure are, my God.
We'll have to take a trip, and then I'll let you decide.
Perfect. I'm seriously game. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you again, Kyle. Serious shit. Like, you taking the time to do this really, really shows what type of person you are, and I love it. You know, I'm so glad that we made the connection. This is one episode of many to come, and I can't wait for Kyle to have his own podcast show, because that, my friends, will be a sick one. That'll be a
sick one. Well, you're showing me the model. You're gonna be one of my first guests, no doubt.
I'm down. So, I'm there. I'm there. Whatever you need help to, as far as setting up platforms, you name it, you let me know. And I hope that he brought a lot of value to you guys. I know he did for me. I want to thank him again. And if you have any other closing thoughts, feel free to share. If not, we'll close it out. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, nothing for me other than gratitude to you for inviting me to this, inviting me for the ADU meetup, which, just for one split second, this girl, Steph, it was her first time publicly speaking like that, and you never would have known it, and she was the moderator, which to me is way harder than like having the spotlight on you and you do your thing for like 15 minutes or whatever. Like, you wove through so many different personalities. You like added value after everyone. You like pumped up the person coming up next, which is really hard to do, and you crushed it. And the diversity of speakers between their like professional strengths, their cultural diversity, it was like really a beautiful thing that you put on, and you crushed it. And it was a packed house where everyone was like attention cultivated for so long, and I was shocked because it was just so good, and definitely shocked that like that was your first one, because it's. And
I told Kyle afterwards, I was like, dude, that was my first time speaking. He's like, what? But I played it over and over in my head so many times, because I knew I was going to do this event 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But I kept playing it over and over in my head. I actually wrote down your name on here, because I write down who I want to have on the podcast, who I think I wouldn't be able to have on the podcast. And I'm going to fucking check your name off right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's fucking dope, right?
Let's go. Oh my God. That is amazing. I can see it, yeah. Wow.
Isn't that insane? So write your shit down, people. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and picture yourself already living the life that you want to live, and hanging around, surrounding yourself with the people that you really can connect with, right? And you share that value with. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Kyle. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for watching the show. I will see you on the next one. And again, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. This podcast was brought to you by ADU Insider, and you can check them out on my 10K card, StephSellsHomes.com.